Ashton Kutcher and Demi Moore were once one of the most talked about couples in Hollywood, but their love could not last. Was the age gap the main reason? Or was there a secret hidden behind their seemingly perfect marriage? Finally, the truth about the reason for their breakup has been revealed. Let's find out. Start a relationship. The fact that Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher would go on to become one of the most renowned couples in Hollywood was something that nobody could have imagined when they first met in the year 2003. Even though the encounter took place at a dinner party, it was not immediately apparent. Kutcher originally appeared to be more interested in another invited visitor at the party than Moore was. This resulted in their initial impression being less than memorable. Demi Moore disclosed the information about the event during an interview on Live with Regis and Kelly. She stated that Ashton Kutcher was so anxious that he hardly spoke to her at all. The first night I met him, he couldn't get 2 words out of me because he was so nervous, Moore said in his interview. This may come as a bit of a surprise to many people, given that Kutcher is known for his self-assurance and his hilarious sense of humor. Moore, on the other hand, considered it to be something that she found intriguing. Moore gradually became the focus of Kutcher's attention, even though there was initially not much interaction between the two of them. The true breakthrough occurred when the two individuals bumped into each other once again at a concert when Demi Moore wore a spectacular ensemble. A stunning Proenza Schooler gown was described as a performance outfit by her in an interview with Harper's Bazaar. She said that she was wearing the gown. As was to be expected, that particular evening turned out to be a defining moment. It was a night filled with performances. Moore acknowledged that the event in question was a defining moment in his life. Following the occurrence of that meeting, their relationship rapidly evolved into a hot and passionate one. After some time had passed, Moore remarked that the first phases of her relationship with Kutcher were intense and emotionally charged. From the very beginning, she was under the impression that they had a unique bond. I knew it had the potential to be something special right away, Moore said in his interview. This opinion was also verified by Ashton Kutcher in an interview that he gave to Parade in the year 2006. He recalled that he had already felt entirely at ease dating Demi from the very beginning of their relationship. During my first date with Demi, I felt fully at ease and ease with myself. Kutcher stated that it was simply right there. Despite the massive amount of attention from the public, the pair had a good day spending time together. During an interview with CBS News, Kutcher divulged the following information. We had one fight in the first 3 months of dating, and we haven't fought since. Throughout their whole relationship, they have always maintained that it is not a struggle, but rather a journey of love and sharing. There is a significant age gap between Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher, which is one of the aspects of their relationship that has garnered a lot of attention from the media. A 15-year age gap existed between Moore and Kutcher when they first began dating. Moore was 40 years old, while Kutcher was only 25. This is something that has been a topic of discussion in the media and the newspapers consistently. The pair has been able to keep their love alive despite the negativity that has been directed at them. During the year 2005, while Kutcher was hosting Saturday Night Live, they even joked about the age difference between them all. Moore made a snarky remark about being attacked for her age difference when she appeared in a comical scene wearing a costume that made her appear much older than she was. I'm all for cutting off my circulation. The humorous response that Kutcher gave was, "You do it." Moore, on the other hand, feels uneasy with the media's fixation on the age difference between her and Kutcher. In a conversation with ABC News, she voiced her dissatisfaction with the fact that only older women who date younger men are subjected to scrutiny, while men who date younger men are not taken into consideration. She referred to her ex-husband, Bruce Willis, who went on to marry a lady who was 23 years younger than him without receiving any criticism. "I'm sorry, I'm not sure. It's absurd," Moore remarked in his complaint. Moore also stated that she does not appreciate being referred to as a cougar in another interview with Harper's Bazaar. The word cougar is used to characterize older women who date younger guys. She went so far as to say that she would feel more comfortable being referred to as a puma, since it is sweeter and more elegant. It is quite possible that the tragedy that took place at an early stage in their relationship was more painful than any of the turbulence that they would go on to suffer in the years to come. Eventually, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher would be subjected to a significant amount of upheaval in their lives. Heartbreaking tragedy. In the early years of their marriage, Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher were very excited about the prospect of having a child, which they believed would strengthen their love for one another. The moment when Moore found out she was pregnant, the couple was overjoyed and filled with optimism for a future in which they would be able to start a family together. They even decided on a name for the child, which turned out to be a girl, and they intended to call her Chaplain Ray. The selection of the name was not only a matter of chance, rather, it was imbued with a great deal of significance and care for the unborn child. By the 6th month of her pregnancy, Moore experienced a miscarriage, which was the moment when everything began to fall apart. Experiencing the loss of a child at such a late stage in pregnancy is a devastating emotional blow for a mother. Moore's life was turned upside down, and he sank into a condition of hopelessness. She talked of the emotional anguish she went through in her memoir, Inside Out, which was published in 2019, saying, "I was devastated. I was disoriented in a manner that I never imagined I would be." Kutcher was the other person who was profoundly impacted by the tragic experience. In an interview with Esquire in 2023, he discussed the anguish he endured, saying, "Losing the child you thought you were going to have and almost thinking you had a child is painful. Everyone has their unique approach to dealing with that." Despite this, it appeared as though the loss had created an unseen space between the two of them. Moore was under the impression that Kutcher was unable to truly comprehend her sorrow. The first thing that she wrote was, first of all, he was not the one who conceived this child. Additionally, he was in his 20s at the time, the speaker said. Moore thinks that Kutcher, although in a state of mourning, had never in his life been pregnant or given birth, so he could not have experienced the loss in the same manner that she did. Not only did Moore experience mental distress as a result of this traumatic event, but it also led to a growing fracture in their relationship. They progressively drifted apart from one another, which prevented them from being a source of emotional support for one another. Within the context of her marriage, Moore started to experience feelings of isolation, whilst Kutcher may have struggled to find his way to deal with the loss. Both of them made an effort to go on with their lives, but the tragedy left a profound impression on their spirits. The death of a little life was not the only thing that occurred. It was also the loss of aspirations, hopes, and the link that they believed would bring them closer together. Love beyond stereotypes. Despite the anguish that Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher experienced following the death of their first child, the strength of their love continued to grow. Even though he was still young, Kutcher did not slow down in his position as a responsible prospective spouse. Once at a time, Moore expressed that his potential is not exhausted. Although he has had a great deal of suffering, she thinks that Kutcher is still a guy with a huge heart and is eager to accept responsibility for their relationship. Moore and Kutcher made their marriage official in September of 2005, which was only a short time after the tragic event that resulted in the loss of their respective children. They decided to have a rather understated wedding, and the preparations for the wedding took place only the day before the wedding. This was not a grandiose affair with hundreds of guests and complicated ceremonies. Rather, it was a small, private ceremony that accurately mirrored their personalities and the way they lived their lives. Everything went smoothly down to the last minute, a source close to the couple told People magazine. This suggests that the couple wanted the most significant event of their life to be as unobtrusive as possible, without the presence of the media or any hoopla. Only their closest friends and family members were present for the intimate ceremony that took place at their home in Beverly Hills, where they exchanged their vows. The ceremony was very low-key, reflecting who they are, said another insider. It was a very peaceful occasion. Not only did Kutcher's marriage to Moore signify that he had tied the knot with the woman he cherished, but it also marked the beginning of a new era in his life. He became the stepfather to Moore's 3 children, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, who were born to her ex-husband, Bruce Willis. Kutcher, who was only 26 years old at the time, was tasked with a significant responsibility, the care of 3 young adults. What he said in an interview with Esquire was as follows: "An 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 12-year-old were under my care after I had reached the age of 26. Several young parents choose to spend their 20s in this manner. In no way did Kutcher consider this to be a hardship or a matter for which he could complain. That being said, he took great pride in the fact that he was a part of Moore's children's life. He went on to say, "I wouldn't have married a woman with 3 kids if I didn't love kids." Even though Kutcher had no prior experience as a parent, he did his best to take the duty of a father seriously when he was a young man. He is actively involved in the care and raising of Moore's stepchildren, and he is working to cultivate a strong relationship with them while also attempting to strike a balance between his personal life and the duties he has toward his family. It is not uncommon for Moore and Kutcher to express their affection for one another in public, in addition to the private times they have with their family. They are prepared to share their happiness with their fans, in contrast to the majority of other renowned couples who make an effort to keep their love connection a strictly private affair. Particularly noteworthy is the fact that they are among the pioneering Hollywood couples to make use of social media to convey their feelings of devotion. They frequently write lovely posts for one another on the social media site that is now known as X. There, they also share personal images and even call each other adorable nicknames such as Baby Boo and Pillow Partner. The public and the media pay a great deal of attention to them because of the public exhibition of affection that they create. They were so popular that Time magazine referred to them as Twitter's first celebrity couple, which was a status that had never been reached before. Additionally, Kutcher has an intriguing perspective on the topic of expressing love on social media. He made the following comparison between conventional romantic gestures and online expressions of affection in an essay that he wrote for Harper's Bazaar in 2010. The act is comparable to sending flowers to the workplace in several respects. You are making your affection known to everyone who is looking. Is there anyone who does not enjoy being appreciated in public? Social media has become an integral part of their life, not only because it enables them to contact their followers, but also because it serves as a source of validation for the robustness of their relationship. Their tweets are not only pleasant expressions, rather, they are a means by which they convey to the world that they are content in their relationship. There was a time when Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher were considered to be one of the most recognized and admired couples in Hollywood. As a result of their unexpected connection, they were forced to face several difficulties, including the death of their first child and the stresses of marriage between a woman who was a mother of 3 and a young man who was at the pinnacle of his profession. Despite this, they were able to enjoy their years together, triumph over several challenges, and not be hesitant to express their affection for one another. They had a straightforward wedding, Kutcher played the role of stepfather, and they maintained a lovely presence on social media, all of which contributed to the creation of a unique love story in the entertainment world. Social responsibility. Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher took a different approach to showing their affection for one another on Valentine's Day in 2010, when many other celebrity couples spoiled themselves with extravagant parties and pricey presents. A charitable organization, the Demi and Ashton Foundation, was established by the two of them as an alternative to exchanging individual presents. One of the primary objectives of the foundation is to work toward increasing awareness and support for victims of human trafficking, particularly children. Both a random deed and a PR stunt, this decision was not made at random. In a previous interview with Reuters, Kutcher stated, "There are approximately 350,000 people who are trafficked in the United States. We desired to engage in an endeavor that was of genuine significance. To commemorate the establishment of the foundation, they delivered flowers to girls who had been victims of human trafficking. The flowers sent the message that they were loved without the need to provide anything in return. A message that is both forceful and sympathetic. This one has a significant significance for those who have been victimized by this atrocity." After that, Moore and Kutcher did not stop there. They utilized the power of social media to bring attention to this extremely important matter. Not only did they disseminate knowledge, but they also took part in actual efforts aimed at combating the issue of human trafficking. In a previous interview, Kutcher disclosed the following information. "I participated in FBI raids and witnessed things that no one should experience." This demonstrates that they not only made a monetary contribution, but also went out into the field to witness the suffering that the victims had to go through their own eyes. The name of their charitable organization was changed to Thorn at a later time, and they continued to work toward the goal of preventing sexual abuse of children. Regardless of the storms that Moore and Kutcher went throughout their marriage, this is one of the most proud legacies that they have left behind. In addition to their collaborative work in the field of charitable giving, Moore and Kutcher have also invested a significant amount of time in the process of constructing the ideal family unit. Nevertheless, it appeared like fate was not looking out for them. Unfortunately, Moore suffered a miscarriage in the 6th month of her pregnancy with Kutcher, which occurred after she had already been married to Kutcher since 2005. Both of them, and Moore in particular, were taken aback by this information. Having a kid with Kutcher was supposed to be a new chapter in their relationship, and she had anticipated that it would help them get closer to one another. On the other hand, this loss caused a significant wound in her spirit. Through in vitro fertilization, IVF, Moore continued to pursue her goal of becoming a mother. She did not give up hope and went through the process, but without success each time. The sadness I felt was so great that I could no longer see what I had in front of me. The family I once had, she admits in her biography Inside Out. It was as if I had lost sight of what I had in front of me. The fact that Moore already had 3 great girls from her previous marriage to Bruce Willis was completely lost on her, since she was so intent on having another child, she forgot about it. In addition to affecting her, this had a detrimental effect on Kutcher as well. Kutcher started to have feelings of alienation as Moore got increasingly preoccupied with the idea of having a child. Even though they continued to reside in the same house, they started to become more distant from one another. Not only did Moore's sadness have an impact on her marriage to Kutcher, but it also hurt her connection with her biological daughters, specifically Rumor Willis. Moore's eldest daughter, with Bruce Willis, experienced feelings of rejection and abandonment. In her autobiography, Moore writes about the emotions that her children experienced, saying, "My daughters felt as though they weren't important enough. It's like, oh, don't you think we're significant enough to you?" Although Moore did not want to do so, she gave the impression to her children that they were no longer a priority in her life. It was because of this that the tension within the family escalated, and as a result, her children were more distant from her. It was inevitable that Moore and Kutcher's marriage would eventually end, and one of the elements that contributed to this was the slow growth of these fissures over time. The Fragments. Inside Out. Demi Moore's memoir has several tragic revelations regarding her marriage to Ashton Kutcher. One of the most upsetting details is how she altered her appearance to conform to the image that Kutcher desired for her to have. Moore disclosed that, "I had to bend to fit the mold of the woman he wanted his wife to be." One of the things that Kutcher desired for their relationship was to add a third person to the mix to make their sexual life more exciting. Moore acknowledged that she had given in to this impulse to preserve the happiness of her marriage and to demonstrate that she was an intriguing spouse. As a result of the fact that I prioritized him, I did not refuse his request to bring a third person into bed with us when he voiced his desire to do so. My goal was to demonstrate to him how amazing and enjoyable I could be. Moore may have first assumed that this would bring them closer together, but as time went on, she realized that these events were not advantageous to their relationship. Not only did the threesomes fail to provide her with the joy and connection she had anticipated, but they also caused her to feel horrible about herself. They were good people, but it was a mistake. Moore was unable to prevent the issues that were occurring in their marriage, even though she made every attempt to accommodate Kutcher and make him happy. The acts that she attempted to safeguard the relationship damaged her more than they helped her, and she eventually began to feel as though she was losing herself. According to Kutcher, the sexual escapades that they had accidentally led to more significant implications in their marriage, which he seemed to exploit as a justification to explain his adultery. Moore related the following. "Because we brought a third party into our relationship," Ashton said, "that blurred the lines and to some extent justified what he did." A girl called Sarah Leal, who was 22 years old at the time, made public the specifics of her sexual experience with Ashton Kutcher in 2011. This led to a massive controversy that blew out in 2011. After spending the night together at a luxurious party held at the Hard Rock Hotel in San Diego, Leal claims that she and Kutcher spent the night together. The fact that the event took place on Kutcher and Moore's 6th wedding anniversary made it much more startling than it already was. In an interview with Us Weekly, Kutcher reportedly revealed to Leal that he and Moore were no longer together at the time, but this did not alleviate the pain that Moore was experiencing. Moore immediately approached Kutcher after becoming aware of the affair, and Kutcher did not refute the allegations. In her autobiography, she wrote, "He admitted it right away, even though they had been through a lot in their marriage." The controversy involving Kutcher's adultery appeared to be the final straw. Moore and Kutcher made the official announcement of their separation in November 2011, following the occurrence of the event. After the divorce, both of them went through challenging times financially. Moore was in a position of crisis. She was profoundly dejected and disoriented, and she had to deal with the long-term psychological harm that was caused by this connection. In the meantime, Kutcher quietly withdrew from the public eye and concentrated on advancing his profession in the field of technology investing. As Kutcher pondered on his previous errors, he made the following statement in an interview with Esquire in the year 2023. "I have to take responsibility for the things I did wrong, and I will continue to take responsibility." Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher's turbulent love story continues to be one of the most contentious partnerships in Hollywood, even though they are no longer together. But even before the divorce was formalized in 2013, Moore's health and well-being had already suffered as a result of the challenges that the marriage presented. Mental breakdown. For decades, Demi Moore maintained a sober lifestyle, staying away from alcohol and drugs. However, after her marriage to Ashton Kutcher fell apart, she gradually fell into negative habits. She started drinking again, using prescription drugs, and even abusing synthetic marijuana. These habits quickly affected her health and spirit, pushing her into a state of severe exhaustion. A source shared with People magazine in 2012 that Moore went through an extremely difficult period after the divorce. According to the source, she barely slept, ate irregularly, and appeared malnourished. Moore's weight dropped so much that people around her became concerned about her health. Moore's condition reached a peak in January 2012, when she was rushed to the hospital after suffering a seizure. According to medical reports, Moore inhaled a substance known as Whippet, which left her in critical condition. She was then taken to a treatment center to recover and control her debilitating condition. In an interview with Diane Sawyer, Demi Moore spoke candidly about the pain she experienced during those years. "I was blinded and I lost myself." She went on to admit that, although the breakup of her marriage to Kutcher was a huge blow, her pain did not stop there. "It was my whole life." She felt as if she had lost everything, not just her husband, but her identity, her confidence, and her sense of control over her life. As for Ashton Kutcher, while it may seem like he's moving on smoothly after his divorce, he's also dealing with a lot of heartache. In an interview with Esquire, Kutcher opened up about how he felt about his marriage to Moore falling apart. "Nothing makes you feel like a failure like divorce." He went on to emphasize that for him, divorce isn't just a breakup. It's a complete and utter failure. "In my opinion, divorce is a complete and utter failure. You failed at marriage." Kutcher hasn't said much about what happened between him and Moore, but his admissions suggest that the marriage left a deep mark on him. Despite their marriage ending, Ashton Kutcher has maintained a close relationship with at least one of Demi Moore's stepdaughters. During his time with Moore, Kutcher developed a close bond with her 3 daughters from her previous marriage to Bruce Willis, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah. He used to treat them as his own and spent a lot of time with them. Even after the divorce, Kutcher maintained a good relationship with Rumor Willis, Moore's eldest daughter. A typical example of this bond was in 2012 when Rumor performed at the Sayers Club in Hollywood. That day, Kutcher was in the audience, not just as a spectator, but also enthusiastically cheering and recording her performance with his phone. The image of him attentively watching Rumor perform, clapping and encouraging her, moved many people. Although Kutcher and Moore's relationship is no longer, his affection for her children still exists. At least for Rumor. After a period of depression, Demi Moore finally began her journey to recovery. She focused on her physical and mental health, attended therapy programs, practiced meditation, and gradually regained balance in her life. In 2019, when she released her memoir Inside Out, Moore not only recounted the darkest chapters of her life, but also showed a strong spirit and determination to take control of her life again. Meanwhile, Ashton Kutcher has also moved on. He married Mila Kunis in 2015, built a happy family, and welcomed a new chapter in his life. Although they are no longer together, the love story of Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher remains one of the most controversial in Hollywood. A marriage filled with passion, but also filled with pain and unforgettable lessons. In a 2014 interview with Access Hollywood, Rumor Willis, daughter of Demi Moore and Bruce Willis, revealed that she remained in touch with her former stepfather, Ashton Kutcher, even after he and her mother divorced. Willis shared that, despite her initially complicated feelings, she has come to see the relationship between her mother and Kutcher in a new light, especially as she has grown older. She even congratulated Kutcher when he welcomed his first child with his current wife, actress Mila Kunis. During the conversation, Willis highlighted an interesting fact that when Kutcher started dating Demi Moore in 2003, he was younger than she was at the time of the interview. The age difference prompted Willis to reflect on the situation her mother and Kutcher were in, comparing it to her relationship with a father of 3 teenagers. She concluded with a humorous but also very realistic statement. It was like me meeting someone who had 3 teenagers, and getting into that whole situation was crazy. In 2019, Demi Moore published her memoir, Inside Out, marking a major turning point in her life. After years of struggling with personal issues, she regained her sanity and health and was ready to face her past to tell her story. Most honestly, the book included a series of shocking revelations about Moore's life, including her tumultuous relationship with Ashton Kutcher. Before its release, Moore told the New York Times, "It's exciting, but I still feel very vulnerable." She emphasized that the memoir is a personal journey where she is no longer constrained by how others perceive her. There are no characters who are a facade. There's no interpretation of myself that other people hold. Ashton Kutcher, on the other hand, was less than pleased with the details of his personal life being made public. In an interview with Esquire, he expressed his frustration, saying, "I was furious after I finally got to the point where the media was completely uninterested in me, my life, and my family. The next day, I found out that photographers were at the school where my kids were attending." However, Kutcher also admitted that things would pass, and he didn't want to continue to delve into negative aspects of his past. He concluded, "I don't want to reveal anything in that area." After years of tension, by 2022, it seemed like Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher had finally reached a point where the animosity between them had died down. There were no more public arguments or conflicts between them. Instead, there was mutual acceptance and respect. For their part, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis have built a happy family. They met while both co-starring on that 70s show, but it wasn't until 2012 that they officially started dating. The couple married in 2015 and have 2 children together. Despite rumors about Kunis and Moore's relationship, the two seem to have maintained a professional and cordial relationship. The ad features the two attending their high school reunion and accidentally being nominated for the Most Admired Alumni Award. As they prepare to take the stage, they realize that neither of them has won, leading to a hilarious and somewhat awkward moment. Interestingly, it was Kunis who approached Moore about the idea of collaborating on the ad. In an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Moore shared, "Who knew that being a Fairfax alum would lead to this unexpected opportunity to meet Mila in such a fun and witty way?" Both Moore and Kunis attended Fairfax High School in Los Angeles, a coincidence that surprised many. Despite past tensions, the relationship between the parties seems to have improved significantly. Demi Moore, Ashton Kutcher, and Mila Kunis all continue to focus on their personal lives, with successful careers and families. What do you think about Demi Moore's approach to confronting her past and telling her story in her memoir, Inside Out? Do you think that going public with the dark side of her relationship with Ashton Kutcher was a way to release and affirm herself? Or could it have had an unnecessary impact on those involved? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you and see you in the next videos.